Hello friends, James Stevenson back with a video about accumulated deficit and retained earnings. What are those two things and how can they be two different names for the same thing? It's an interesting question, and I'll start with casting us back in time a few years to July 13th of 2021. First we'll check in with Loki just because people need to know where Loki is. There he is. There he is. Just yawning. Just yawning in bed. You're okay, buddy. You can keep napping. And I will share my desktop and show you what TSLAQ Leo at Edward Smallhouse was tweeting about on July 13th, 2021. He tweeted, "What on earth is the matter with you? Tesla, hashtag TSLAQ, has a cumulative deficit of $5.4 billion. $9.3 billion excluding ZEV credits. But you blather on about absurd gross margins. There is no excuse for stupidity of this magnitude. There are plenty of resources available to help you." This is funny. So he's retweeting EnergyVest at EnergyVest on Twitter, who said, "To anyone who thinks Tesla loses money on every car, you are a moron. Tesla has positive gross margins on every car, so therefore makes money on every car. In fact, Tesla has industry-leading gross margins on every car, greater than 20%, excluding regulatory credits. Hashtag Tesla." So, yeah, I'm not even going to bother telling you what this screenshot says. So the next tweet from Leo was, "Why do you write such atrocious lies about TSLAQ and try to deceive people? You claim Tesla makes money on every car is a ludicrous untruth. Your claim that Tesla makes money on every car is a ludicrous untruth. Do you have no shame or self-respect? The extract from its latest 10K shows that Tesla's cumulative deficit, in all caps, was $5.4 billion. So what's an accumulated deficit? Let's talk about it right now. This was the 2020 full year 10Q. Accumulated deficit means the total amount the company has lost over its lifetime. So at that point, at the end of 2020, Tesla had lost a total of $5.4 billion. That's all that is. And I'll keep going. To my reply at the time, I said, "Was that a larger accumulated deficit than the previous year or a smaller one? Take all the time you need." So I'm just asking the question, hey, is that accumulated deficit becoming a larger negative number or is it becoming a smaller negative number? And rather than reply to me, you see there are no replies here. I'm going to hit the back button to show you what Leo did instead. He retweeted it with a comment over it, which is a tactic some people use sometimes, saying, "As I'm sure you're well aware, TSLAQ's year-end 2019 cumulative deficit was $6,083,000,000. The cumulative deficit was $5,399,000,000 at year-end 2020, in which year ZEV credits were a very high $1.6 billion. So what's Leo want to do when the facts are not on his side? He wants to throw out the regulatory credits. This was a very common move for years among TSLAQ. If your narrative is untrue, adjust out the regulatory credits and see if that fixes it. So that's what Leo was attempting here. So if there were no ZEV credits in 2020, so if Tesla hadn't made all the money they literally took from competitors and deposited in their bank account, if that hadn't happened, the deficit would have increased to almost $7 billion, he's saying. So I replied, "Hey, aren't you the guy who was just claiming that Tesla loses money on every car they sell every year? If that were true, their accumulated deficit would become a larger negative number every year. But don't let me stop you from trying to move the goalposts." All right, so what has happened since then? Let's see if we can find this quote tweet. No quote tweets yet, all right. The other really interesting thing that I'm noticing is they've capitalized the I in my handle. It's capital I, capital C. It's Interesting. I thought I had that as a lowercase I. Oh well. The show goes on. So, what's the update? Did Tesla's accumulated deficit stay at $5.4 billion? I'm glad you asked, because yesterday I sent out a tweet. Here it is. For many years, Tesla lost money. Since 2020, though, so we just saw that in the year 2020, Tesla's accumulated deficit stopped falling and turned around the other direction. Right about there is 2020. And what happened in 2021 and 2022? It flipped from a negative number, which means accumulated deficit, to a positive number, which is called retained earnings. It's the same number. It's the cumulative inception-to-date net income of the company. You just add up every quarterly net income number from the first one the company reported to the most recent one. And whatever the sum of all those quarterly net incomes is your retained earnings slash, and then in parentheses, accumulated deficit. So if you get a negative number, you call it an accumulated deficit. If you get a positive number, you call that retained earnings. And here's what that looks like for Tesla. It certainly got a lot better. The fun thing to do with this animation is to try to call out loud every time it passes $2 billion up or down. So here you would go -2, -4, -6, -6, -4, -2, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. That's how fast. That's how fast it moved, right? So Tesla is going to make more and more net income every year going forward, as they have been since 2020. That is my expectation. Don't fall for the same TSLAQ idiots who have been telling you Tesla loses money on every car they sell for years now. All Tesla needed was some time to ramp up production and sell a lot more cars at those world-class gross margins, and the profit flowed through to the bottom line with increasing operating leverage and better operating margins every year. And that is my video for the week. So check back in with Loki, still snoozing. And I'll say, if you've enjoyed today's video, click the like button. If you're not subscribed to my channel already, why not go ahead and subscribe to my channel? Click the notification bell if you want to get alerted whenever I post fresh videos. Thank you to anyone who supports me, either through Patreon or by joining my YouTube channel, especially my two executive producers, Kathy Kitchler and Halter Ferguson Financial. And I'll see you in the next one.